Gregor Samsa, a traveling salesman, wakes up in his bed to find himself transformed into a large insect. He looks around his room, which appears normal, and decides to go back to sleep, to forget about what has happened. He attempts to roll over, only to discover that he cannot due to his new body. He is stuck on his hard, convex back. He tries to scratch an itch on his stomach, but when he touches himself with one of his many new legs, he is disgusted. He reflects on how dreary life as a traveling salesman is, and how he would quit if his parents and sister did not depend so much on his income. He turns to the clock and sees that he has overslept and missed his train to work, which means he will probably get fired. Gregor's mother knocks on the door, and when he answers her, Gregor finds that his voice has changed. His family suspects that he may be ill, so they ask him to open the door, which is locked. He tries to get out of bed, but he cannot maneuver his body. He eventually manages to flip around and sees that someone has put milk and bread in his room. Initially excited, he quickly discovers that he has no taste for milk, once one of his favorite foods. The next morning, his sister Gret comes in and sees that he has not touched the milk. She leaves, comes back with the rotting food scraps. That, on the other hand, Gregor happily eats. This begins a routine in which his sister feeds him and cleans up while he hides under the couch, afraid that his appearance will frighten her. Gregor spends his time listening through the wall to his family members talking. They often discuss the difficult financial situation they find themselves in, now that Gregor cannot provide for them. Gregor grows more comfortable with his metamorphosis. He begins climbing the walls and ceiling for amusement. This ends up lasting for some time, putting family under a lot of strain. Gregor, who was transformed into a giant insect, becomes increasingly alienated from his family. The family grows resentful as Gregor's condition becomes a burden. Eventually, Gregor dies alone in his room, feeling guilty for his impact on his family. After his death, the family is relieved and begins to move on with their lives, even planning for a brighter future at a new, nicer home in the countryside. Gret suggests an idea of creating a tiling of Gregor as a wallpaper in one of the rooms of the new house. Parents said she can try, and if they like it, they will consider dedicating one wall to their son. So let's go ahead and help her create a prod tile in the shape of Gregor's state that will tile the wall of their new house. You might be confused by this question. Considering you chose to watch this video, you're probably familiar with the shapes that can be used to tile a plane. And that list might include triangles, squares, regular hexagons, parallelograms, and more. You might also be familiar with Escher's amazing work, where he creates the tiles using irregular shapes like fish and birds. Well, you're in luck today, because not only will I show you how to create a tile using an insect, but walk you through the criteria that will help you create your very own unique tile. Maybe you can even use it to tile the floor of your future bathroom. Let me first show you the tile that I came up with to help our Gret out. And then after showing how I did it, maybe you can come up with a better one yourself. Let's look at an individual insect. I marked each side of this insect so we can analyze it. Pay attention to side AB in red. It is congruent to side EF, and by congruent I mean exactly the same, without any rotations. Just translate it a little down. Now that I had two sides of my insect, I tried creating the legs, or so to say. The way you do that is drawing a shape, that shape being a green squiggle for me, and then rotating it by 180 degrees. So basically, the side AC is the exact same side as CE, but rotated 180 degrees. So AE is centrosymmetric. The same goes for the opposite side in purple. I drew the purple squiggle first and rotated it 180 degrees, meaning side BD is rotated 180 degrees to get DF. So BF is centrosymmetric as well. This is called the Conway criterion, after John Horton Conway, who was an English mathematician active in the theory of finite groups, knot theory, number theory, combinatorial game theory, and coding theory. The Conway criterion is a sufficient condition to prove that a prototile tiles the plane, but not a necessary one. There are tiles that fail the criterion and still tile the plane. Insects aside, let's come up with some other random shape that you might want to use as your bathroom tile. Let's draw a random curve, AB. You can draw anything you want as a starting curve. Now we will translate AB somewhere in the plane and call that EF. Remember, EF and AB have to be congruent, so I'm keeping it the same size and shape. Now let's consider the sides. Again, I'm going to draw a curve from point A and stop somewhere, calling that point C. C will be the center of this curve. Now, Conway's criterion says that this curve has to be centrosymmetric. To make sure that is the case, I will rotate this by 180 degrees around the point C. That will ensure my curve is centrosymmetric. Conveniently, it touches my point E, so on the left side, I'm done. Now on the right side, I will do the same thing. Start from B and draw a random curve. Once I stop, I will call that point D. This will be the center of the new curve. To make sure that side is also centrosymmetric, I will rotate it by 180 degrees around point D and mark the endpoint of that curve. Now, not to make things hard, I'm just going to end my drawing with a straight line connecting it to point F. As we all know, lines have centrosymmetric property, so I do not have to worry about it. Now let's take a look what tiling this prototile creates. Look how beautiful this is. It's a lot of trial and error. Do not expect it to get it on the first try. This bug, for example, took me more time than I wanted, and it probably does not even look like one. Speaking of which, Gret could not convince her parents to use this as a tile. They did not like it too much. Maybe because the insects do not make the best kind of tiles. But maybe one of you will do a better job. This is the first tiling I did following the Conway criterion lecture in college, a Bart Simpson tile. This is an amazing gift to your friends or just a fun project on the side. Anyways, I think that's enough for today.